Another Villanelle, Christian Wyman's "What I Know," which is a bit more mysterious. So I have Man's Yard Sale up there. Let's pull up Wyman's "What I Know." All right, and you notice if you closely watch the last video, the format, the structure, the repetition of a villanelle, all the things that entails and does. And again, these forms with its repetition, it means the speaker of the poem is 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 thinking about something intensely. They're turning it over in their mind. What I know. Think of the title of this. We can look at the title different. What I know. Think of what we know now. Think of what you knew when you were young, what you learn and experience over time, and what you know later. Some things we might wish we could unlearn, right? The things we wish we knew now, we wish we knew back then. So in many ways, this mysterious poem is about knowing and not knowing. And I think that's what adds to that layer level of mysteriousness here. These fields go farther than you think they do. That darkness is my father walking away. It is my shadow that I tell this to. This stillness is not real. The cloud that grew into an old man's face didn't stay. These fields go farther than you think they do. The sun loves shattered things and loves what's new. I love you so much more than I could say. It is my shadow that I tell this to. He is not sleeping, that bird the bugs crawl through. Don't touch, don't cry, think good things, pray. These fields go farther than you think they do. Some darknesses breathe, look back at you. Under the porch, a pair of eyes waits all day. It is my shadow that I tell this to. The things my father told me must be true. There are some places you cannot play. These fields go farther than you think they do. It is my shadow that I tell this to. We have a solitary, a lonely speaker here. Think of this line that repeats throughout. These fields go farther than you think they do. What does that mean? Think of it on multiple levels. Think of it, as the kids say, literally. What's a literal level? You ever look off in a field, or you ever look off in a distance at a physical marker, and you think it's closer than what it is? So that's a literal meaning, right? You can walk across this field. You can also think of this metaphorical. There are certain things we don't know. You might think, we have plans in life, right? I have a plan. Have any of you ever had a plan and you think it's all going to go right, and it doesn't necessarily work out the way you think it should or will? These fields go farther than you think they do. There's something out there unknown. That darkness is my father walking away. And I'm going to argue in these moments, the father's dead, right? The father's dying, and the speaker looking back on this relationship, what perhaps the father was trying to teach and share and hint at. It is my shadow that I tell this to. There's the shadow in this poem. Think of our shadow selves. Think of our Carl Jung, right? There's a poet, Robert Bly, has some notes on the shadow. Our shadow self is our other self. Uh, this stillness is not real. The cloud that grew into an old man's face didn't stay. So I'm reading this as the father. The face was clouded, an old man, and he passed away. And then the speaker is thinking about the father. These fields go farther than you think they do. Something that the father may have said when the speaker was young. It might have had literal meanings and resonances there. And now as we grow, it takes on whole different things. The sun loves shattered things and loves what's new. I love you so much more than I could say. This is a continual theme. Think of those winter Sundays. Think of the other poems that the speakers perhaps wish they were could have conveyed thoughts, feelings, emotions while the other was alive, and it's only within these poems after the fact that these thoughts and feelings come through. It is my shadow that I tell this to. He is not sleeping, that bird the bugs crawl through. And we have these directives here. Don't touch, don't cry, think good things, pray. Is this advice? Are these things the father told the speaker when the speaker was young? Think good things, pray. These fields go farther than you think they do. Some darknesses breathe, look back at you. There's the darkness out there. Is this another shadow? Under the porch, a pair of eyes waits all day. It is my shadow that I tell this to. The things my father told me must be true. There are some places you cannot play. Think of what this means. There are some places you cannot play. You know, we read that again literally when we're little. Our parents might tell us, don't go play in that abandoned schoolhouse or that yard with the broken glass and rusty nails. As we get older, this is completely different. Think of the places where we might think we belong and where we don't belong. That's more concretized as we're older. Places of belonging and not belonging. These fields go farther than you think they do. It is my shadow that I tell this to. This poem, to me at least, is quite a stark contrast to Man's Yard Sale, whereas Yard Sale was really straightforward, really evident of what's going on, which I think is still powerful. This poem is much more mysterious. It's much more oblique and opaque. And I think it dealing with epistemology, knowledge, right? Learning and what we know, reflecting and thinking upon these things. Those things aren't concrete. It's always changing. It's always adjusting. One of the biggest, I don't know if it's lies or falsehoods, is that when we're younger, we think when we get older, oh, everything's going to be figured out. If life follows this trajectory, this path, we're going to know so much more. It's actually the complete opposite, right? We learn things through experiencing them, but the world is still a baffling, confusing place, and what we think and what we thought would happen never actually happens. The speaker is looking back on these notes from the father, and I would say this father, kind of like the speaker, might be this mysterious shadow figure, but there's an affinity between the two. The father was trying to pass on something that maybe in the moment when the speaker was young didn't register or resonate, but now this repetition, turning it over, it's alive and it's taking on new meaning. And these are some of the powerful moments in this mysterious villanelle.